Hey, my Legion, how y'all doing today? Whenever I finally found out that Netflix was going to have Stranger Things season 2 on, definitely checked it out, and then I saw they had Beyond Stranger Things, which is the behind the scenes look of that thing, of Stranger Things, the second season. I knew that eventually I'd be doing a review of it, and that's what I'm doing today. I'm reviewing Beyond Stranger Things. Now, before I get started, I want to do like a complete recap of the whole my whole personal history with Stranger Things. Now, I wrote down the date. Stranger Things, the first season, premiered on Netflix July 15th, 2016. And slowly but surely, I started hearing a bunch of stuff on Facebook and all this other stuff about the show. And I was like, oh man, it's just another TV show. I don't have time to watch any shows because I was judging films at Horror Fest at the time. And this was before everything kind of. This was still when we were still having like meetings at Action News 24 and stuff like that. I'm no longer a film judge, by the way. John and I bowed out from the Horror Fest. And I did eventually. I have a list of the videos I've done. I mean, I was late to come to the show, to watch the show. Where's it at? Yeah, I was late to. I didn't, like I said, it premiered July 15th, 2016. And then John was telling me about a whole bunch of people telling me I got to check out the show. And I didn't do a. Excuse me. I didn't end up watching it and do a review till September 23rd, 2016. So I was kind of late on the show. And I loved the show, first of all. And then I saw it was such a big thing seeing the kids who played in the show all over the place. And I remember seeing the Jimmy Fallon thing on Tonight Show with the silly string. And they even John even replayed that thing a couple of weeks ago. And that was when I was shocked to find out the girl who played Eleven, was actually British, which I really surprised me. Just like I was surprised when Rick Grimes, he had an interview with Rick Grimes from Walking Dead, and he was British. Show you how great you just think they're American. They speak with an American accent. You didn't know. For the longest time, I thought Minnie Driver wasn't British, and then found out she was. But that just shows what great actors they are. And then whenever it came out, and my friend John Walker was saying, like Stephen King, like where did all these great child actors come from? Because some of the child actors in some of the movies of the past, some have been really good. It's been off and on, But I mean, the acting's spot on these shows. And then Tony reached out to me earlier in the summer, and he asked if I'd do like a review of the trailer. And I'm really not big into reviewing trailers. I'd rather just review the movie. But Tony asked me to, and I said I would because he's my friend. And that was pretty much it. And then the build-up came. I think Stranger Things 2 premiered October 27th. And I started watching episodes. And I finished watching episodes. I did my review of the whole season. I finally saw the whole season October 29th. And I started watching some of Beyond Stranger Things too, a little bit. But I knew that was no rush to get that video out, review of that video. And I was shocked to see other reviews of the show. Well, first of all, people saying how they thought Winona Ryder was really annoying in the show, which I thought she was fine in the show. But the one thing I was surprised, a lot of critics and stuff hated the episode 7, like the new sister, when they had where Eleven goes to find her sister, and she becomes involved with this gang that commits crimes and stuff like that, and for like one episode, and they said it was a terrible episode. But I liked the episode. I thought it was cool. They said it just looks like a spinoff. And with the new season, with the original season was only 8 episodes, and that was like 9 seasons. I think that might have been an add-on to give you a little bit more. I don't know. But a lot of people and critics hate that episode. They say that you can skip that episode and still enjoy the show no matter what. But I mean, if you're a fan of the show, you're not going to skip that episode. Give me a break, And what else happened? Let me see. And then that was pretty much it for Stranger Things 2. I knew I'd be doing reviews of Beyond Stranger Things, but I didn't know when. Because I was just watching that off and on. There's only 7 episodes. And then I was surprised John when John was filming a bunch of stuff, we did a review of the box set for Stranger Things, which I think is really fascinating. And we did a bigger, more discussion for the show thing, Stranger Things, and I think it's a really good video too. Like I said, I never knew that this would be my 4th video this year of Stranger Things, because everything on the show is kind of spontaneous. I don't know what direction the show's going to, what video they're going to do for day to day. A lot of times, sometimes, I mean, on the weekends, I do stuff ahead of time to upload on work nights, because it's kind of tough doing stuff on work nights. I might do a couple. All depends, I was really surprised. And now this season, one thing, right, it's like behind the scenes, the interviews with the cast and stuff, some of the cast. If you expect to see them sitting down interviewing Winona Ryder, you're sadly mistaken. They're only interviewing like the kids, the Duffer Brothers. I mean, there's different people in each episode, so not every episode is different. The same. The one director of some of the episodes, this guy named Jim Rash is, I never heard of the guy before, is hosting and asking questions and stuff. And like the biggest star in the show is actually Bill Nye the Science Guy makes the appearance on the AV Club episode. Because like the big stars like they have on the show, like the guy who played the sheriff, Paul Reiser, Sean Astin, just send in video clips. They answering some questions and stuff. Winona Ryder doesn't send in anything. You don't see Winona Ryder at all. So, I mean, that's not a spoil, that's just fact. And basically what the show is, it's like different lengths. I mean, the very first episode is the longest one at 25 minutes. And the shortest one is episode 6, I think it was the New Kids or something like that. Where I actually skipped ahead and watched that one because they had an interview with Billy. But he's such a jerk in the show, I wanted to see what he was in real life. And he had a hairpiece that came off. I found out about that through watching the show. That one kid that had the big mullet, that's his real hair. So he looks completely different in there. And that's actually the shortest episode 6 is 15 minutes. So they're different episodes, different lengths. And basically, the show is, hold on. I don't know if I'm trying to catch a cold or... I had a flu shot, so I mean, if I did catch a cold, it sped up. I'm a little congested, sneezing and stuff. I'm not sick or nothing, though. And, I mean, the show is like a roundtable discussion where the thing with The Talking Dead is they had the big stars on that. But The Talking Dead, I mean, as opposed to like a streaming service, that show was done live after the show. Where, like, in front of a studio audience where they'd watch the show and they interview people and then they have, like, the crowd interview them. I haven't seen Talking Dead in forever, though. I just stick with Walking Dead. It's just so much stuff to watch. I just stick with Walking Dead. And they had, like, people call in the show. At least I think they did. I never bothered to call in the show because I had to go to bed for work, But I watched Talking Dead for a while, and I just watch Walking Dead now. And with this one, it's just like previously filmed. It's like on, like in this one room. It looks like a very comfortable log cabin type looking room. They have like a post for the thing right there, and it's like the round table discussion. You see the camera pan back and forth. It reminds me of a lot as when they had interviews with the guys from Storage Wars back in 2012, I believe, and they showed it again in 2013 because when my dad, I don't know what happened to Storage Wars. I don't know if it's still on. I lost track of that show back in 2016. I stopped watching it. I stopped watching a lot of the channels. Some of the channels I used to watch aren't good anymore. True TV's lousy anymore. Stopped watching History Channel because that show like Pawn Stars 2 set up. Stop watching Spike TV unless they have new episodes of Bar Rescue. I think Spike is going to be changing his name. Or I don't know what's going on. A&E, I don't watch A&E anymore. I don't know. Some of the shows aren't getting good anymore. They're getting rid of some of the good shows I liked. But as far as like Stranger Things, you learn some neat things about the show. Like with the Duffer Brothers, I found out something interesting. Those are the creators of the show. Oh, first of all, classic news, they couldn't get studios... it took forever to get a studio that was interested in Stranger Things, believe it or not. It was such a hit. They were looking all through studios, major networks. They weren't interested at all. And then Netflix eventually was interested and brought it up. And that reminds me of the classic Hollywood story. George Lucas went all over the different studios and he couldn't find anyone who was interested in Star Wars. And his major pitch was it's a Western in outer space. No studio wanted to touch it. He went to 20, and he just came off success of like American Graffiti and stuff like that. However, he did a science fiction film earlier. Well, he did a studio film called THX 11384EB, and then he did a theatrical version, which I didn't see till much later, till like the 90s, of THS 113, which I really liked with Robert De Niro in it, which was a huge flop. And then he went on to American Graffiti, if I'm not mistaken. I think he did. And then, I don't know the exact chronology. It was a long time ago. I was still a little kid. But I know he went from all these studios and no one was interested in touching Star Wars, believe it or not. And then he ended up getting into a poker game with the head of 20th Century Fox. And if he won, they would make Star Wars. And if he lost, I can't remember what happened if he lost, but he ended up winning, I believe, and then they ended up making Star Wars and then became a phenomenal hit. Just like with Stranger Things, I think Netflix went sight unseen and they did it for only so much money. And then after the success, they made the second one and they spent more money on CGI and all this other stuff. You find out some other interesting things. The Duffer Brothers actually held back in kindergarten because they said they weren't social enough. And they said that... they got along so well with each other and said, why share their toys with anyone else, I guess. And they got held back in kindergarten. Surprisingly. You find out little things like this. I never got held back in regular school. We had something called catechism while I was growing up, which was like religious school on Saturday for Catholics, right? And I think it went from kindergarten to 6th grade, and then you're out. And in 2nd grade, you're supposed to learn communion. Something happened, and I was sick or something like that, and I didn't take my communion, so my mother decided to help me back 1 grade, which was very strange. I was going to 3rd grade in regular school and going to 2nd grade there. It was really weird being held back. And what happened was we ended up not going to catechism anymore because what happened was... I was supposed to get flowers for the altar, and I told my dad we need them. And then he went to the nuns, and he said that, look, I've been laid off. I can't really afford to get flowers and stuff like that. And the nun said, can your son afford to go to this school anymore? So they took us out, and I was so happy. I hated going there, and my sister did too. I know my sister never took official communion, and I remember my grandmother's place, she wanted to take communion. I told her how. And she said if our grandmother found out that she never officially did a whole big ceremony about taking communion, that she probably would have freaked out. But I told her how to do it. It's really easy. Well, anyways, back to Stranger Things. They have like lots of other really important things on there. Like there's different people that they interview, and the big stars, the 3 big stars submit like videotapes to them answering stuff like the guy who played the sheriff. I didn't know he was a big star, but they submitted. Paul Reiser submitted 1 tape, and then Sean Astin submitted some tapes. Well, I know Reiner, she didn't submit nothing. The answering some questions and stuff like that. Like I said, it's like a big round table discussion. It's pretty interesting. I think if you're a fan of the show, I think you'll be interested in checking it out. It's not like you're gonna... Well, some people might binge watch that. I didn't bother to. I just watched it bits and pieces at a time. It was only 7 episodes, real short, but I watched the last 2 today, and I wanted to do a review of it finally on a Sunday. So I hope you like this review of Beyond Stranger Things. I give it an 8 out of 10. It's still not as good as the first one. I mean, as Stranger Things Volume 2, but I mean, or Season 2, or whatever you want to call it. But it's still pretty entertaining. You learn some stuff. So, and you see how intelligent the kids are. Everyone's really intelligent, And mostly it's you see a lot of stuff with the kids, which is the most important, because they were really the focal point. But just you don't see the big stars as much. Sean Astin told some stuff about the AV Club, and being in the AV Club when he was a kid was really interesting. So I hope you like this review. 8 out of 10 for Beyond Stranger Things, like the Talking Dead version of Stranger Things, except it's done It's all pre-recorded, because that's the thing with live streaming services. It's not done live, you know. So I hope you like this video. Until next time, bye, please. Take care, my legion. Now I gotta check the news. Hopefully it'll stop snowing. Like it's done on Saturday night, Sunday night. All right, bye, buddy.